And it's time for another matchup in the first round of the Big Lager Championship. Let's have a look at the table. So here's the table, the first half of the table, and if you remember in the last matchup we had the Perlenbacher Lager taking out the Heineken, which made it through the preliminaries but wasn't good enough to beat the Perlenbacher. Now this is the second half of the table. I'll just give you about 10 seconds to have a look at that. As you can see, the ones that are going to be coming up very shortly. And today's is going to be quite interesting. So today's, let's have a look at the beers that are on today's taste test. So first of all, we have the Birra Italiana, which is, I'm thinking, Lidl's version of Peroni, which got through the preliminaries. I think it'd be the Budweiser in the preliminaries. It wasn't originally going to be in the tournament. When I realised that Lidl did their own version of Peroni, I thought, well, let's do it. Let's give this a chance as well. So that got put in against the Budweiser, and it has now got through. And it's interesting. I like the fact it's got through. Because it's up against this one, Rossini, which is Aldi's version of Peroni. And the other thing is, if Peroni gets through its matchup, then the winner of these two will be up against Peroni. So that'll be really interesting. That wasn't done on purpose, I assure you. It was done at random. It was all done at random, and I suppose this wasn't put in at random. Let's face it. I did choose to put this one up against the Budweiser, but I think there was a reason for that anyway. But yeah, so how interesting. So what can I say? We've got these two lagers. They both look very, very similar. They are both 5% ABV. They're both 500ml bottles. They were both, I think, about $1.50 a bottle. I think this one might have been a little bit cheaper. And although one's from Aldi and one's from Lidl, and they have, different enough labels. If you look at the bottle cap, hopefully you can see that, for the Rossini, and the bottle cap for the Birra Italiana, they are both identical. I don't know how well that came up, but they are identical bottle caps. I'm assuming that means the caps come from the same place. I'm not going to just assume that means that they are the same beer. Although at first I thought, are they just the same beer? Literally the same beer, the same bottles, just different labels. I'm going to just assume, rather than one beer being brewed and literally just being sold by Aldi and Lidl, I'm going to assume they got the bottle tops from the same place, but not the beer being the same. But it'd be very interesting to see whether I notice a difference between the two of them. Sometimes there's quite a big difference, to be honest. If they both taste exactly the same, then I'm going to come to the conclusion that they are the same. But I don't think they will be. I don't think they're going to brew the same lager, are they? Does it say much about where these are brewed? I don't know. It doesn't really say much about this. It says this one's specially produced for Aldi, so that implies to me that it's not... Let's have a look. That it's not the same as this, but you never know. What does it say? Any ingredient? Doesn't really have much information about it at all, really. This one doesn't have any information about it either. So there we go. So that's the only info I've got. In fact, they're both best before the 11th of 2026. They both get exactly the same best before date as well. This is going to be an interesting taste test. Let's get them poured out into glasses, and we'll see if they are indeed the same beer. Okay, beer's poured. Both have had heads that have dissipated quite quickly, but there is still a bit of a head there, so that's good. More room for swilling, I suppose. What can I say about them? I'm certainly getting a skunky smell from at least one of these beers, but before I investigate which one it is, let's just tell you lot which one is which. So this is which one is which. Okay, that's which one was which. So, let's have a little look at these beers. Let's start with this one and see what it's smelling like. Well, let's have a look at them first. So, do they look the same? That is the question. No, I don't think so. I'm not sure. This one does look a little bit lighter than this one. So that's interesting. I'm going to know if they've got the same taste, I would think. I've not looked into whether they are, how they're brewed, or whether anyone else has investigated whether these beers are the same before. They are very similar in colour, actually. So I might have a bit of egg on my face if I come to the conclusion that they do taste different, and then find out they are the same beer. But we will see. We'll see what they smell like. So I'm going to have a nose on this one first. So here we go. So there's a bit of malt in that. So a bit of malt in the old flavour. I don't think I've ever had either of these beers before. Oh no, I must have done. Of course I have. I had the Birra Italiana when I did it against the Budweiser. What am I talking about? I don't think I've had the Rossini before though. But yeah, so it smells quite grassy, a little bit floral, a bit orangey, a bit quite malty, a bit marmalady. Pretty standard fare, really, on the old smell there. Let's try the smell on this one and see if it's similar or different. It's very similar. I'm not sure if I'm getting a bit of a syrupy edge on this one, which I didn't get on that one. Let's go from beer to beer on this one, because this will be an interesting thing to see whether they do actually smell different. Yeah, this one definitely has a little bit of a caramel edge to it. Neither of them smell particularly skunked. But this one does seem to have a bit of a caramel edge to it. And a bit like blue tacky, if people know what that is. Well, you'll know what that is when you're plasticine. In the smell, a bit Play-Doh-y in the smell, that kind of smell there, if you know what that smells like. I'm getting a bit of that in the smell. This one smells a lot more clean than this one. It would be very interesting if they are the same beer. I don't think they are the same beer. I don't think they would do the same beer and sell it in both Aldi and Lidl. None of the other beers like that are the same beer or even taste like the same beer. So let's have a taste on this one anyway. Cheers. Crisp, a bit bland. A bit of an aftertaste. Not much in the middle. Yeah, a little bit of malt in the middle there, not a huge amount. A bit of bitterness on the end there. Bit of an aftertaste. Should really have swilled before I did it, so I might go back on that one after I've swilled. Palate cleanse, let's try again. So it's punchy and dry, a little bit of malt in the middle. A little bit of bitterness at the end. Bit of an aftertaste coming through, a little bit wafery. It's alright, it's crisp. It's refreshing. Let's try this one. Cheers. More more carbonated, sorry. Although it is a little bit carbonated. More carbonated. Not as much flavour. No aftertaste to speak of. A little bit of that carbonated plasticine taste in the flavour. I won't lie. I would be very surprised if these were the same bit. Although I've said that, this hasn't got a lot of flavour either. It's been a long time since I've had a real Peroni, but I don't think either of these are as good as it. Let's try again. Not much in the flavour of this one at all. Bit bitterness. Not really any. A little bit of an aftertaste coming now. One more go on this one and then I'm going to make a decision. Very hard. There's not a lot of flavour, not much going on in either of these. This one's definitely smoother than this one. This is more carbonated. Something a little bit dirty about that one. Doesn't seem to be dirty in this one. So yeah, they are remarkably similar. If they are the same beer, then it's a bit unfair in a taste test. It doesn't really matter which one goes through if they are the same beer. Are they the same beer? They could be the same beer. I'll say that much. They could be the same beer. There's such little flavour. It's hard to tell whether any variations in the flavour are just variations in bottling, rather than actual variations in. But again, they could actually be. I think the bottles look the same. So they could actually be the same, literally the same bottles, but with different stickers on the front. I think that's unlikely. I'm getting a slightly different flavour profile from this one to this one. This one's a little bit punchier, a little bit fresher. This one's a little bit malty, but a little bit mouldy at the same time. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, so the way it is, this has got a bit more bitterness as well. So the way it is, I'm going to say, yeah, I don't think they're the same beer. I think they're just very similarly brewed, and they use the same bottle top. I'm going to put this one through. Right, with regards to which one I think is which, I remember thinking the Birra Italiana was alright, so for that reason I'm going to say I think this is the Birra Italiana. This one's the Rossini. Birra Italiana, Rossini. Let's find out and come right back. Okay, so it seems like the Birra Italiana was put in the Budvar glass, and the Rossini was put in the Rivington glass. I wonder whether that would be what would have happened, but I only realised that right at the end when I said which I thought was which. Yeah, neither of these are particularly great. Drinking it from the bottom, a bit bland. Also a bit bland. Yeah, weird. Very weird. Are they the same beer? I don't know. The Rossini's dearer as well. That's not good. I think this was a little bit cheaper, about $1.19, I think. Anyway. So there we go. I don't think it really... Oh, that I'm getting the aftertaste from that again. Don't get the aftertaste with this one. No, I'm not getting the aftertaste with that one. Birra Italiana, gone. Out of the competition. So there we go. That's the way it works. Put the water over here. Rossini is through. So Rossini is through to the next round, where it may or may not face off against the Peroni, depending on whether the Peroni beats the Steinhauser. So that will be interesting to see whether the Peroni beats the Steinhauser and fights off against the Rossini in the next round. But we're going to have to wait until then. So, till next time, have a good one.